Welcome in, y'all. What a weekend of football it was. I'm here to break it all down and then look ahead to that AFC and NFC championship games. We'll go in order of the games. You started with Broncos Bills. And man, what a mess this one was, especially for Buffalo. A lot of turnovers in this one. Josh Allen, many of which, belonged to him. And then there was this controversial play. You can see the screenshot of it. I really don't get all the fuss about this one. I saw it and I was immediately like, that's a pick. He was still going to the ground, hadn't completed the catch, didn't stride the ground. It happened almost simultaneously. I think that was a clear pick, just at least my 2 cents on that one there. But Buffalo is done, and I really do feel for them. I feel for Josh Allen. They know that this was their best chance. And, it stinks. It stinks even more knowing Bo Nix's injury, right? Knowing that I would have rather had seen the Bills advance. But, the result is what it is. And it was a heck of a game. It was a lot of fun. 33-30, a little high scoring for these two teams. And it really came down to the mistakes, like I said. Bills made more mistakes. The Broncos, they were more patient. They were more mistake free. They still had some. You can look at the stats here. The Bills, especially on the ground. The Bills were kind of gashing them there, almost 200 yards on the ground. The Broncos definitely cannot say the same for them, only 70 yards. A ton of passes from Knicks, which it's certainly interesting for them. Um, Only 10 running back carries, though. I think that's a big thing to notice. And it's funny because you're going from your quarterback, throwing 46 passes and rushing 12 times to now not having that quarterback next week. That's going to be tough. Stidham steps into the spotlight. Um, you know, uh, of these last four teams left, Denver might be the one that could lose their quarterback and have the best chance still. They have that good defense. Bo Nix, while good, isn't like he hasn't been elite all year. Stidham's still young. Maybe there could be some growth with Sean Payton and sitting. You never know here. I definitely wouldn't write them off. They get the home field. They're about 5-point underdogs to New England, but I think it could be a sneaky good game. We'll be interested. I'll be making my pick on that one tomorrow. We'll be doing a separate video for each game. But it was a heck of a game. It was a heck of a game. It was back and forth. It felt like Denver really took control at the end of the first half there. It was 10-10, with 25 seconds left. And, the Broncos get the touchdown, then the Josh Allen fumble, then the Broncos field goal. And it just felt like it unraveled on the Bills right there. They caught up, then they made more mistakes. Just tough day for Buffalo. But props to Denver, props for getting the 1 seed, props for getting to the AFC title game. And now they have by far the toughest road ahead, right? They got to get this done with a backup quarterback. Their odds are long. They have worse odds to win it now than when the playoffs started, which is crazy, but it's realistic. We'll see if they can get the job done on Sunday. It'll certainly be an interesting one, maybe a Nick Foles type action. I saw him talking about the game. We'll jump into the one that was Saturday night, though, and this kickoff return right here, it set the tone for the game. And the people I was watching it with, I was saying right away, the momentum from that, it felt like it almost decided the game right there. Obviously it didn't actually, but you get the momentum from that. Niners, they fail on fourth down. They let Seattle drive down the field a couple more times, and it felt like just right off the back, San Fran was playing catch up, and they just never had a chance, right? Sam Darnold completed 12 passes. He only completed 12 passes. And he didn't need to do any more. They ran the ball 33 times because they had the lead the whole time. They were dominating the play, dominating the trenches. The Niners, like I said, playing catch up. And when you're playing catch up against a good defense like Seattle, that is not a recipe. This game was the perfect Seattle Seahawk recipe. Jump out to that early lead, and then they can play their style of ball. Obviously, that can be said for a lot of teams, but I just think it's especially true with Seattle. That's what they've done a lot of times this year when they get big wins or wins over big opponents. There's a couple occasions that's not true, but for the most part, they kind of build a lead. They run the ball a ton, and when they do throw the ball, it's off play action. It's kind of mixing up the run pass. catching the defense off guard, and then they're just playing lockdown defense on the other side of the ball, getting after the quarterback. The other team's going to be passing, playing catch up. It was the perfect game script for Seattle, and really once they got that early lead, it was over. Right, San Fran with how banged up they were, they needed a good start, and that kickoff return just kind of did them in. So props to Seattle. They played a genuinely almost a perfect game. They played great. San Francisco really just a meltdown. You hate to see it in a divisional round. Obviously I was hoping for another fun game. But yeah, Seattle wins that divisional match within the NFC West division, and now they get another NFC West showdown with the Rams. I said it at the start of the playoffs when I made my picks. I said one way or another, it feels like all roads lead back to Rams Seahawks in the NFC title game, and here we are. So that'll be a great one on Sunday, but more on that a little later in this video. We'll jump into the first game from Sunday. It was Texans, Patriots, and CJ Stroud. I mean, is there a conversation to be had? He was brutal. I mean, to be fair, the Patriots were all over him, but he just had a rough day. I mean, the 4 interceptions, had some fumbles. I mean, as you can see, though, they couldn't get it going on the ground either. 22 carries, and they have less than 50 yards. That's unbelievably bad efficiency. And Stroud had to throw it 47 times, sacked several times as well. It was just a horrible day for this Texans offense, and this was my concern with them. It's why I was very, very confident New England win this game. I know the Texans defense is amazing, and they looked it for a lot of this game, but the offense just isn't there. They got to figure something out. Maybe it starts with the O-line, the quarterback. I don't know. But the Patriots played another solid game, a very controlled game. They forced mistakes from their opponent. They got after the opponent's quarterback. Drake May played pretty well, per usual. And they're in the AFC title game as 5-point favorites with Bo Nix injury. All of a sudden, we're like, Patriots are going to be in the Super Bowl. Don't jump the gun too fast. But it is crazy to think a 4-win team from last year turned it around so quickly. Props to them. I know some people, and I don't blame them. They still have the taste of that Patriots dynasty in their mouth. They don't really want to see them winning or doing anything, and I don't blame you, but I think I'm frankly over it. I'm not sick of them anymore, so I think it could be fun to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But let's jump into the last game and recap that before we start talking about those conference championship matchups. There's the Rams and the Bears, and a very interesting one. Definitely a different game than we expected. We expected these two offenses to play incredibly well, high scoring, and we got the defenses putting on a show. And I will say I don't think the weather really affected this one too much. But these offenses just weren't cruising at their usual speed. Now you look at the stat line, and on both sides, it actually looks fairly decent, right? Both teams rushing over 100, but both teams passing for over 200. The big thing you look at there, though, is the 3 interceptions for Caleb Williams, and that last interception is really what did him in. I mean, the 4th down play to get to overtime was incredible, an incredible play. It's a shame that they end up losing that game. It's kind of one of those weird plays that'll be remembered forever. But then it's also like they lost, so but incredible play. That interception in overtime, it just can't happen. And he's learning, he's growing. He played a good game. He was going to be the reason they won or lost it. He's the reason they got to overtime, and then he's kind of the reason they lost in overtime. DJ Moore could have tried harder on that route, but at the end of the day, where they were in the field, you're right there that you might have even considered them already in field goal range for a long one. You just can't turn the ball over there. And they did, and it cost them the season, and the Rams move on. And another week for the Rams where they just are finding ways to win when they're not playing their best ball. And this time it was the defense. The defense took a big step up, stopped Chicago on several 4th downs, and that was a big decider in this one. The defense came to play on 4th downs, and like I said, that decided. I was a little surprised to not see Chicago go for 2 after that final touchdown, but I saw Ben Johnson explaining it, saying there goal to go, short yardage stuff hadn't been working or cleanly that game. And you know what? I think he's actually right there. They struggled on the goal to go a couple of times. They struggled on fourth down. It's always tough to say what the right call is when they end up losing. But I don't hate the decision to not go for two when you really do break it down and think about it. That was divisional weekend, and now we turn our attention to the conference championships. And the AFC, I don't want to, because I'm still excited. I don't want to be too critical. I think it's still going to be a good game. I think it would have been an amazing game if we had Bo Nix in there. I think it will still be a good game. Do not discount Sean Payton and his game plan for this one. He's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. And I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes it can almost make it tougher for New England when now you're going against a team and instead of having this recipe of what you know they're going to do, you don't know what they're going to throw at you next week, what's going to happen with Stidham, what their game plan is going to be. That could catch them off guard, and I think you never know. It should be, I think it should still be a good game, especially because it's in Denver. They got the home field there. Drake May going to play his first road playoff game of his career. And then on the flip side, it's the Rams and the Seahawks. Like I said, these two were destined to meet in this game. I think a lot of us felt that coming into these playoffs. They played two amazing regular season games. First one decided by 2 points, and the final play was that missed 61-yard field goal. And then the other one decided in overtime by 1 point on a 2-point conversion in overtime. Really just amazing games these teams have given us, and I would expect nothing less from this one. It should be a fantastic game. And we'll get to find out who's going to be playing in the 60th Super Bowl in just about a week's time. So I'll be having those videos over the next couple of days, breaking down each of the conference championship matchups and making my official predictions. Did a lot better in this divisional round. I went 3-1 against the spread and 4-0 straight up picking winners. So a great weekend, and I hope to keep it rolling next week. Let me know what y'all think, what you're looking forward to, and who you think is going to win the Super Bowl at this point.